Welcome back to a new review. Today we're reviewing My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, one of the most critically divided albums in today's day and age. Kanye West, with his fourth studio album, delivers a lot of iconic performances, but also some big lows on this album. We're off with the intro, Dark Fantasy, one of the best intros really Kanye has ever put up, or really the best intro Kanye has ever put up, with a great instrumental and great beat, great layering on Tiana Taylor's vocals. She does a great performance on the hook, and really is one of the most catchiest hooks of all of the album. But also Kanye does a great verse, great performance also throughout the song. Overall, this song is really perfect of itself, although there's a really extralude added at the end of the song. It's fine, I won't get petty to it. This song is an absolute banger. Next up, we have Gorgeous, another banger out of this album with great guitar riffs and great guitar verses on this, and a great Kid Cudi performance too. It's not too much, he does too much, but he did the hook perfectly fine, and it's absolutely amazing. Although there is like this distorted voice effects like on Raekwon and Kanye West on this track. I'm not sure if it's Raekwon. I'll probably need to investigate it later, but I'm pretty sure it's Raekwon of the third verse. But anyways, I didn't really like it, and we also get more previews on that on later songs on my Dark Twisted Fantasy. But I gotta admit, Kanye versus was really great. It really just expresses him as being a triumph and reaching this high, really state of being famous, and also some controversies that go around the world at that time. But this song is really great, gorgeous, is a def and bop. Next we have Power. This track is legendary. It is Kanye at its peak. One of the best of the album, if not the best. This should be more acclaimed by Kanye West fans. The production on this is insane, and you could tell how long really this album was produced on really on this song itself. The choir going out, the clapping go around, that pause that didn't really sound right, but you get what I mean. And Kanye's verses are just on point, excellent. That hungriness, that you know, hungriness on this song is just really insane. Kanye West was on the mint time on this, both of these verses. Sampling is amazing, and the mighty production on this song too is pretty cool too. This track is legendary. Power is powerful. Next up, we have All of the Lights, a really greatly produced with horns, instrumentals, with Rihanna vocals. Pretty great on this too. Kanye's verse was really solid, but really overall, all of the verses on here was like struggling to carry on the concept of really what Rihanna was bringing on the song. It was kind of like a just verses added into it. And Kanye's verse, it was just solid. This song could have been so much better. Um, just verse wise, lyrically, it could have brought more. But all the lights, it's a nice wave added to this song, and that's like a little more flavor to this, album. It's a vibe. Next up, we have Monster, which is a really hard-hitting beat, with a really cool intro as well. Kanye's verse was really, really weird with that verse, the line that goes, I don't really remember it, but it was like, she just want to swallow ship. I forgot what was the line before, but I thought that was a pretty, like, weird bar. Of course, it's Kanye, but overall, I thought his verse was just fine. I find struggle to like this song really in general. The Jay-Z verse was good. The Nicki Minaj verse, I was going to talk about it, and I agree. The flow on Nicki's verse is nice. I guess the rib the reverberating on how you say it. At the end, her verse is pretty nice touch to it too, and she went pretty hard. It was a really good verse, but I just find it really struggle to like this song. It's a good song, but personally, I don't think it's one of the strongest of the album. but it's it's a definitely hard hitting song coming out the way right after all of the lights. Next up, we have So Appalled, a track talking about social securities really intertwined with famous people, and also some pop culture references on the song itself. It mentions a RZA beat. It's a really, really interesting beat, and the hook, I gotta say, is probably one of the most like unimaginary hooks out of the entire album. I just don't really find a vibe really with this song. Although I did like Jay-Z's bar. It is a really hard hitting one. But Pusha T did really do his thing on this too. It was a good verse. But the hook is sort of unimaginary, and really the song doesn't really get anywhere. Kind of something what I really imagined with Monster. It's also happening to So Appalled. But it doesn't mean that this track is really bad. It's just a track that I don't really just listen to back then. And now that I listen to it, I still don't really find that peace. Next up, we have Devil in a New Dress, one of those records that is going to be remembered. This track features a great sampling beats, well, not really beats, but more of an a cappella type of beat. And this track really talked about Kanye and, sort of preaching to this girl or woman, whatever it is. And the sort of this, breakup, I guess I could really tell. But the verse, the way how he's preaching and not really rapping, sounds more like he's preaching. It fits the song so perfectly. Kanye's verse was good. Rick Ross's verse, though, is the one that I still listen to this day. It feels like this, cruise on a rich valley. His voice is really just it's funny because it sounds like really rich, but Rick Ross' verse is great. It's perfectly matching with the song. And honestly, Devil in a New Dress is one of the strongest tracks on this album. And I like the Mike Dean guitar on the end of this album. I mean, on this album, I don't know, the end of the song. It's a nice touch to it. And yeah, Devil in a New Dress is one of the strongest tracks really on this record. Next up, we have Runaway. I've been waiting to do this track and give you my thoughts about it. This is probably really the most controversial song on this, album. There's people who don't like it, and there's people who really think this song is the fucking greatest song of the century. But here's my thoughts. I like the piano part. There's people like my friend who say like, "Oh, this is so easy to do. Why is this so iconic? There's really nothing special about this." Really, something simple can be really perfect. It doesn't have to be the most. I guess most complex things so it could be legendary. It really doesn't have to. And it's a really, really cool piano part. It's good. And I like the hook, the Kanye hooks, the Kanye bridges on this. But Kanye singing on his verses are pretty mediocre. And I will say his verses kind of don't really fit the bridge or the hook. I like Pusha T's verse, but it kind of feels like he's struggling to really fit in with the hook or really the theme of the song. I does have really some problems about it. And I know what this track really talks about. It really talks about really, Kanye not being that sort of guy, to, put out there. We have, obviously seen that, now because he's been in these controversies. But this time is really special with a girl, and he really divides it to with Pusha T and giving like two perspectives. But again, I'm not trying to, be that guy, but it really isn't as great as it really sounds instrumentally, which is really the major part of this album. But all that aside, and in the minute, I guess the last 2 minutes part of the song, it has like a mic moan on it. It's supposed to be a guitar. I really just found that out. Honestly, I don't have any reaction. It kind of sounded bad at first, but now that I reheard it like 50 million times and I just heard 9 minutes of Runaway right now. It's whatever. And honestly, this track, it's good, but I gotta say, this is probably one of the most overrated, really, tracks in music. Bridges are really, and production wise on this track is pretty unmatched too. Next up, we have Hell of a Life, which is one of my least favorite tracks of his entire album. This song was recently sampled on Kanye's project Vultures on track Carnival, and I gotta say, the main instrumental of this, because there's two instrumentals, there's an instrumental switch that kind of sounds like it's bouncing back and forth, but um the first part of it, it sounds like my phone about to really die. Um, I just don't really like it. And Kanye's verse is as bad as it. I think I just fell in love with a porn star. Like, again, it's funny, but I gotta be honest, his verse is pretty awful. And the hook is pretty awful as well. This is like the second half of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is a big downfall. It's like it's fucking funny, but the hook is as awful as really the first instrumental, the main instrumental. No more drugs for me. Pussy and religion is all I need. Like, come on. Yeah, this track is pretty bad. Next up, we have Blame Game, which is a soft track, really chill track with John Legend and Kanye West. John Legend delivering some soft vocals on it, and Kanye West really talking about his past breakups and, heartbreak. But honestly, it's sort of a really snooze, and, it's a really long track. But again, it delivers it really, really it's a whatever verse by Kanye, and yeah, it's definitely one of those skips on this album as well. Next up, we have Lost in the World, which at the beginning I was really confused and was about to turn off the song with this really mixed auto tune, but when the hook started, it was amazing. It was actually layered pretty nice, and the audio was starting to actually sound good. And there's something about the song that I really like. Like it's really grand, really just a big atmosphere. This song is really a really happy mood. There's something about this song that I like that makes it so legendary. It's a really good song. Next up, we have Who Will Survive America, which is sort of like an extrude and talks about really what really Kanye wants at the end and, America's, I guess, problems. But that will conclude my beautiful dark twisted fantasy. I'm not really too, excited about the track. My final thoughts about my beautiful dark twisted fantasy, it delivers high quality, great production instrumentals really throughout the album, or mostly first part of the album, but it also has some levels on the album, especially on Hell of a Life and what is it? And also some boring part like Blame Game, and it also has some, I guess, underperforming verses also. But it doesn't take away the fact, in my opinion, that this album is still iconic to his day, and honestly, the work that paid off back then has made it today. My thoughts about this and my final score about it is I'm feeling a B on this.